Hello, hello, and welcome to Third Shot Rants with Howard and Gina. I'm Gina. Hi, Howard.
Hi, Gina.
And we're two pickleball friends living in Chicago.
Gina, what are we talking about this episode?
Howard, today we've got listener feedback. We have been kind of talking about this for a while, that we would get to your emails and your texts and your Instagram messages. So we thank you guys for reaching out and telling us your stories.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. As always, you can email us at thirdshotrants@gmail.com, and we'll kind of gather stuff together and probably do a feedback show every once in a while. So before we get into listener feedback, we want to give you a little bit of an update about Grant Park as well. So if you remember back in episode 2, we took our first field trip, first Third Shot Rants field trip, Gina.
Our only field trip, Howard.
Well, okay, maybe the SPF interview was a field trip too.
That was.
Okay. And back in that episode, which seems like a long time ago, we talked about how Grant Park was kind of taken over by this challenge court system, where every single court, all of the I think 16 courts that are there, were turned into challenge courts, and the only way to get on a court when things were busy was to go as a team of 2 and challenge someone that had won the previous game on that court, and that was the only way you could get on. It didn't really make much sense to us, because it really stopped people who are beginners, or people who just didn't want to get into that kind of environment to get onto the court. And if you're a family or a bunch of friends, you couldn't just go and wait your turn and play as a foursome on the court. You had to challenge as a team and beat someone who was there. And there were a bunch of sort of fairly advanced players there, so that was a difficult environment. Anyway, we talked after the show to one of the people who was trying to implement the new racking system, and kind of got an update of what was going on. What she told us was, she said no one really followed the rack system unless she or a few other people that she knew started pushing it. And she said the beginners and the intermediate courts did sometimes follow the racking system, and they tried to work with the Park District and even the head of the Central District, and that he met with them and promised to come up with a game plan, but nothing really happened as a result of that. So our impression from what she told us was the challenge court system was still pretty much in place, at least for the higher level courts, and that doesn't seem like an ideal environment, Gina.
Yeah. As you said, it really it takes away this public space from the people and really makes it highly competitive and not very welcoming. And that's not what we do with our public park system. So yeah, we'll continue to keep you guys updated. And today feels like spring. It's January 13th and 51 degrees outside. So the spring will be here before we know it, and we'll have to see how the system's going then.
Gina, are you saying we should abandon this recording and go down to Grant Park right now?
I bet there are people playing. It's a little windy, I think. But
okay, so in the spring, we'll maybe make another field trip down there and see what's going on. And figure out a good restaurant to go to, Gina.
Oh my gosh, my favorite. Love it, Howard.
All right, Gina. So on to listener feedback.
All right. So our first email, I won't name names. I'll just kind of go through. So this listener told us, "Hi, I frequently play at a club in Northbrook. Most of the open play there is level set. Everyone is the same level ability, and a coach organizes the teams and rotations, etc. The fee is $8 to play, and the club also has an offering called Wide Open Play that is free to members and not level set. The rules are rack-based open play. Rarely is the rack used, but players waiting stand outside the playing area until it's their turn. This writer tells us, I recently played Wide Open Play, and all the courts were full, and there were 3 of us waiting to use the next court that was open. We had planned on replacing 3 current players on the court after one of the games was over. All the games on the court had just started. The other court had a game going on for a while. In that court, the game ended and they started another one without looking to see if players were waiting to play. I asked what the score was because it seemed the game was going on for a long time. They said 1-2. I said, there are people waiting. Then the three of us waiting walked onto the court. I indicated they should decide which one of them should stay and play. They were very slow to move and seemed not to like giving up the court. Eventually, they did move off with no apology, and one player stayed behind. It left me wondering what happens in the situation where the waiting area players are timid or somewhat intimidated. Maybe they're new to the game. Honestly, I don't think the two people that were there with me would have said or done anything. Yeah, so many of my friends say that they hate open play because it is chaotic. What do you think, Howard? What do you think about starting a new game without coming off the court?
Yeah, I think that's wrong, especially when there are people waiting and they need you to fill out a group,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I think this is a topic not just at this particular club, but I think at all clubs that offer some form of open play. And it's a topic also for public parks and other places that people have open play sessions. I think, the thing that I think we would agree on is if you're at open play and people need a player or two players to fill out a group, to have a foursome, to be able to play doubles, I do think there's an obligation to join that group, even if you have your own group, or even if they're kind of not a level that you ideally would want to play with. I think if you're going to something that is open play, then that I think is like the very base expectation of what your obligation is to other people in that group. What do you think?
Yeah, totally. I mean, the whole like staying on for an extra game, like for me, I would be very taken aback by that. Like, oh, you're just gonna stay on and like not even look to see like who's racked up or who's near the racks. That to me is just pure selfishness, and I don't like it. I think the expectation should be at open play that after every game you are exiting the courts. If it's unless it's like two people stay on, but there should be like a clear marker that hey, we're done. Who's up next? Making sure that there's some sort of like passing of the baton for the next game. And so I think people too often think they can get away with just, oh, this is our court. Like no one's really watching, but don't be like that. It's rude.
I think it also depends on so if it's a club, if it's a private club, then I think the club should have rules. The club should be the one that's dictating what the rules are of the open play that they've. So the club is creating an open play session and it's charging people money to come play at that session. Mm-hmm. And the club should have clearly stated rules that the club helps to manage and enforce if necessary, because they're charging money to create a session. And if you go there, you should have some expectation that that session follows the rules that are set out, and they should have rules, and that the club will step in if needed to try to move stuff along. I think the challenging thing, Gina, is what happens if let's say there's a foursome that wants to stay together, and this I think is the thing that comes up the most at open play, and over which I think people may disagree sometimes. There are people that come as a group, they want to play together. Let's say the sort of the most respectful version of that is they wait their turn, they play as a group. When they finish the game, they come off the court and they wait their turn and want to paddle up together. Does that seem okay? If they don't want to mix with other people, but they're waiting their turn, they're not trying to get ahead of other people, they're not staying on the court, but they don't, let's say they don't really want to mix, just to put it bluntly.
Yeah, I'm fine with that if that's a big group and there's enough players for everyone, like for the courts to be going, so long as it doesn't leave a court stranded, like with two players or something like that. I'm good with that. I think that's the best way to do it, and it's super fair. Like, hey, we're waiting extra because we want to play together. Great.
Yeah.
There shouldn't be too much like fighting about that.
Well, I think some people don't like that. Gina. I've definitely been in situations. There was a while we were playing at Northeastern Illinois University, which has a gym and was offering open pickleball play. And I wasn't part of it, but there was a group of four younger people who were kind of friends, and they just want to stay together. They were totally good about waiting their turn, but other people, and they weren't jumping ahead, and other people had people to play with. But some people didn't like it because they felt that the spirit of open play was that people should mix and play with other people.
Yeah, I don't have like super strong feelings about that. I don't know that it has to, like, you have to demand that everyone mix. I don't think it should ruin anyone's fun for sure. Like like keeping people waiting. But I don't know that it. I think as long as you're coming off the court, I think, and giving that court to someone else, it shouldn't be a huge issue.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I was just I think other people, there are definitely other people in that situation where they didn't seem to like it. I don't have a problem with it. I wasn't part of the group that was trying to stay together, but it seemed fine to me. I think that the challenging situation with that, Gina, is when if there's always a line to get onto the court, then it's not that big a deal because the group that's trying to stay together will come off the court, they'll wait in line behind other people, and the groups in front generally won't have trouble finding, even if there's only two people right in front of, let's say, this foursome, when a court clears, there'll be people coming off that court, and they probably will be happy to mix and get an earlier game and kind of, jump the line, as it were, and play with the two people who are waiting to get on. But if there aren't, let's say there's still open courts and this group of four comes off and there's two people waiting to get on and play, and there are other groups that they could mix with, but right now there's only two people waiting to play and they don't have a foursome, and then they kind of want to ask this group to mix. Should that group be forced to break up in that case?
Yes. What do you think?
Well, Gina, you're the one you are actually in the situation of
Oh my God.
of kind of managing this sometimes in your work, right?
Yeah. So this happened this week, and it got me like my blood boiling a little bit. And this will be something that I'm looking out for. So don't try to pull this on me, guys. Yeah. So if it's stopping anyone from playing, like you're there for open play. So you need to make sure that you're playing. And like I think at the crux of this whole conversation is that if you don't want to mix, if you don't want to play with someone specific, then rent a court, right? Like that's always an option, is to rent a court and have a private court. And so when you're at open play, the expectations, they do change. Like, so you're paying money, everyone else is paying money. The idea is that we kind of cooperate with each other, right? We can still get good games in and keep it friendly.
Okay, if you see Gina running open play, don't try to sneak this by her.
I swear to God.
Or Gina, what if I'm a foursome that comes off and there's two people waiting and I want to keep my foursome together, but there are other games going on at the same time. And some of them are going to finish in a few minutes probably, and this twosome could mix with those people?
I don't know, Howard, because at that point, like, maybe the score is like 8-7, but it ends up going 14-12, and that could be another 10 minutes at that point. I would say, yeah, I think at that point you need to break it up.
Okay. Okay, fair enough.
Not every single time, but if it doesn't look like anything's ending super soon, because I want to take a break, I want to have a sip, maybe I want to sit down. Because I've been in that situation too, where someone like actually accused like our group of like, oh, you're not going to mix. And we're like, we just got off court. Can we just have a second to have a drink of water? And these people, like, because they were waiting, like, were kind of aggressive with us. It was a very bizarre situation, but we were like, the fact that they kind of came at us like, oh, you guys aren't mixing. Like, okay, actually, I'm just getting some water. Like, calm down. We just finished. Let us like take at least like a 1 minute break, and then we can come back out, right? So I would say like don't force the people like not to take a break or anything. Just I would pose the question, and if they say no, then I would be a little bit surprised.
Okay. What if they're strategically taking a break, Gina? You kind of know they would go back on if they had an open court to play on, and they're just kind of waiting it out.
I mean, at some point, like, yeah, we can't really control the actions of everyone. It's still not ideal, but yeah. Try not to be too big of a jerk when you're at open play is the ultimate goal, right?
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Okay, what else, Gina?
All right, Howard. So the second part of this email says another situation I have faced with wide open play is when no players are waiting. Some players are hesitant to rotate across the courts to get a mix of players. I had one player tell me she didn't like playing with a specific person because they weren't very good, so she doesn't rotate. So she doesn't rotate, so she doesn't have to play with them. I rotated and left the other player behind. This particular club offers level open play, and I suggested that she do that instead, so that she's guaranteed a certain level of play. She replies, but I have to pay for that, and wide open play is free. So, yeah, that kind of piggybacks on our last conversation of now we've got no people waiting, but I think there's still a responsibility of the people on court to come off and like make sure that mixing's happening. Otherwise, some people might just be stuck in games that aren't really a really good fit for them.
Well, now we're branching out, Gina. So I agree with the responsibility to come off the court. So if I'm trying to stay together as a foursome and we finish our game, I should come off.
Mm-hmm.
If none of our group are needed to fill out another foursome, but let's say there's another player or two players who think they fit better with the play level of our group than the other people at the open play, do I really need to break up my group?
I mean, I think in the spirit of open play that there should be mixing. Otherwise, I mean, it feels a little bit odd to me if it's just like, let's say 4 courts are going and none of those 4 courts are mixing in any sort of way, but that it's still technically open play. I mean, I would say like it's one of those situations where you're like, well, let's see what the score is. If it's like 2-3, then yeah, maybe we just go get another game and we try to like line it up, the next water break or something. I think there should be some kind of effort to actually mix.
Do you think that's true in a public park as well?
Is the public park like, is it Horner or is it a place where it's not like known for open play?
Let's say it's a place that's known for open play, like Horner and some other places that have either actual open play rules or kind of de facto open play, which is what everyone agrees on. But I just want to keep my foursome together, but someone else wants to mix in with our group.
Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, I think the way you approach it could be different. Like maybe you're not coming off the court at that point, but if someone does like approach me and ask, it might be like either like, hey, yeah, sorry, we're just playing the foursome today, or yeah, sure, like let's get you in. I'm looking for a break. Yeah, so it's definitely a more difficult situation. In that situation, like we're not paying to be there, so there's not like an expectation that I'm getting any games. I could show up to Horner Park and there's no people there, and that's just how the cookie crumbles, right? What do you think?
I've definitely been part of foursomes that have chosen to stay together. I don't know that there's been a situation where someone asked to mix in, because I think people tend not to ask that, even if they'd like to join your foursome. And I've been on the other end of the situation where I show up somewhere without a particular plan, and I see a good competitive group playing together, and I would like to play in that group, but I tend to leave them alone. So I kind of feel like the the foursome staying together is okay as long as they're doing the usual stuff of waiting in line, getting off the court after they play, and so on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sorry. Earlier I said like maybe you don't have to come off the court. In that situation, I'm thinking of like maybe there's only like 3 of the 8 courts going at Horner or something like that, and like it's not like a super busy day. But yeah, if you're, I think I guess that's fine. I think the expectations are different though too, like for a public park versus, hey, I'm paying like $15 to be here, so I want to make sure that I'm not like stuck on a court with only 3 people total on it for 2 hours, because that gets old real fast.
Yeah, I will say even in a private club, I'd be inclined to keep my group together. Probably, if the club had clear rules dictating mixing, which I feel like the club should say that if that's what it feels the rules are.
Mm-hmm.
But if it doesn't, then I don't know.
I see.
If I saw friends who I knew, I would mix them in.
Mm-hmm.
I totally would. But if I'm just there with some friends and other people I don't really know,
But you're coming off the court, right? Like you're not just staying and like claiming one. Like
Gina, I'm coming off the court.
Coming off the court. You guys are re-racking together. I'm just clarifying because I'm like, yeah, that makes
So, I mean, that's just I would take that as given, right? But it's just a matter of staying together.
You would think it's a given to come off the court, but it's not.
But it's really just, can you paddle together? Can you just stay paddled together? I feel like the answer is probably yes. And if a club doesn't want you to do that, they should have clear rules saying that you can't do that.
Okay. I mean, if there's like 19 people at open play, I mean, how do you, like, there's always, I don't know. I think like at some point, like someone in your group is going to be mixed, right? Like just it's how it should be.
Yeah, I mean, I think in that case, it depends on whether it's easier to stay paddled as a foursome if there's always a line for a court, because then there's always someone coming off a court who probably is happy to join a partial group in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
I also agree if it's time for a partial group of, let's say, 1, 2, 3 people who are getting onto a court and they don't have anyone to play with, regardless of what the rules say, I would agree there's an obligation in open play to join that group, for someone in your group to join that group and help them make a foursome. That I completely agree with.
Okay.
But if that's not the case, I don't feel a particular obligation to mix. Mm-hmm. I might, but I'm not sure I should feel an obligation to do so.
Okay. Interesting, Howard. I mean, this is kind of how we met, right? Is that you were not really mixing at Park District.
It's not true. It's just.
But is it?
No, it's totally not true. No, it's just.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, for me, like if I'm at open play, which isn't super often, like it takes a lot of energy, I think, to like paddle up with people. Like it's honestly, I'd rather just grab like a couple games with some of the people and be like, okay, let's paddle up together like next game, and like my next 3 games, I'm just in line. I don't know. That's just, it's easier for me, but I'm not like looking for like the absolute best game. So I see both sides of that for sure.
Yeah, I think the other thing that happens is sometimes depending on the club and the situation, sometimes you're not really very assured of getting a reasonable game, and you kind of make plans with other people to show up there, because there are places where if I just knew I could go and kind of get a reasonable game, mm-hmm. then fine, I would just show up there. But I don't feel I can count on that. So then I try to get people to go there with me, and then once you've done that, then I feel a little obligation to kind of stay with them if that's possible.
Oh, so now you're the host of Open Play, Howard.
A little bit. Oh my God. Especially if the club has said that we can probably stay together.
Howard. If I see you on a Wednesday morning and you are not mixing, I will let you have it.
Okay. All right, moving on,
All
Gina. What
right.
else? What else do we have?
Next one. All right. So this email comes in. I have a question. What do you do when you have an established pickleball group of friends and one member of the group invites someone who's kind of a jerk? Recently, someone invited a couple, and while the wife was really nice, the husband was kind of a jerky player. When he and his wife started to lose a few points in a row, he began leaping in front of her to poach balls, spiking balls to make up for lost points. The wife seems to want to come back now that she knows, it's a regular meetup, and I'm afraid he's going to ruin our pleasant, friendly games. What do we do? And for the love of all that is holy, do not use my real name. I love that. I will not.
Okay, but if you go ask Gina privately, she might tell you.
No,
No, she won't.
I will never tell.
I think that's a tough situation, and it's not even. I'm not sure that's even strictly a pickleball situation. That's just kind of,
Yeah.
human interaction a little bit. I don't have a great answer to that. I mean, just to answer the very specific question that she asked, you basically have a choice between being very candid with this person, and if you like the person you invited but not their spouse, then you could tell them that maybe she's great, maybe he's not. You can make up some kind of excuse. Maybe he's too good. Maybe he's not the right kind of. He's too good for your group, or people feel intimidated by him, and so she's welcome, but maybe he's not kind of the right level for that group. That's one option, or you could just kind of ghost her a little bit.
Yeah, ghosting is an option. Not, the best option, but it's hard to have these conversations, right, Howard? Like, this would make me very uncomfortable to be like, hey, you're invited, but not your spouse.
Yeah.
Or like how you tiptoe around something like that. I think like my inclination would be like, great, like I can't invite either one of you because I'm scared that your husband's coming. Like, so it's like I'm not going to invite the wife now.
Yeah.
Which is too
bad. I think that's what most people would probably gravitate towards, because it feels like too much confrontation, especially if you don't have a built-in excuse. So if the group is mostly a women's group and you want to say, well, we're trying to keep it as a women's group, and so you're welcome, but we're generally not inviting men, then maybe you could say that. But coming out and saying your husband's a jerk, we don't want to play with him, that feels, if you would do it a little more tactfully than I just said, that's a little tough to do.
Yeah. This is tough because, I mean, like, should you be able to give that feedback of like, hey, like his behavior was way too intense and we're really not like that. We're really just trying to have fun and get some good games with our friends, and the energy that he brought really threw that off. I don't know. People could really take that harder than it needs to be, but it seems like an honest and like truthful answer, and maybe something that person needs to reflect on.
Yeah, I told you, Gina, I came up with this idea of an intensity scale for people. We're just going to give everyone an intensity score, 1 to 5.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And then you have to wear it proudly on your shoulder.
Yeah, you're a 1, Gina. Maybe a 1.5.
I could get to a 2 for sure, but it's not in me a lot. If I ever feel like, I don't know, like someone's beating me and they think they're like really beating me, and I'm like, oh no, I'm not even turned on right now. Like, it's like I'm not even playing, my hands in my pocket. Then I'm like, okay, let me spice it up a little bit. But yeah, I think it's really tough too, especially when it's a married couple. And like, what if you send that text of like, hey, do you want to play, Tuesday at 9? And you just send it to the wife. Like, is the assumption that he's invited too if he's not in that text? I don't know. I don't think so. But are couples like that just like a unit at that point? You tell me, Howard.
Yeah, couples are a challenging situation sometimes. Ultimately, I think what people tend to do is just make a judgment on the couple as a whole, because it's hard to have this conversation.
So that's interesting. So yeah, the couple is essentially a unit. You have to judge them together. It makes sense. It's not easy, but yeah, I think if you're having to make that tough decision, it's like, well, is his jerkiness worth it? And
In this case, it sounds like it's not. So
it's a
probably the
bummer,
answer,
right? Like
yeah.
for her, like the lady who like, had a great time and really had like good games with nice people. But I mean, also like you got to look at your husband and be like, why are you doing that? Like, like I'm allowed to hit a ball, get out of my space. But.
Yeah. She should recognize that a little bit.
All right. So our next email comes from our friend Angela Bellows Hartman. So she writes that in a game where the opponent had already been difficult on a previous point, there was a kitchen violation dispute. Angela says, I felt confident I didn't step into the kitchen. She did have this rule correct. It was a volley out of the air, and I did fall forward, but I did a sidestep to avoid the kitchen. I immediately was annoyed because of the previous call, so I ran to the replay and hit it. I did not touch the kitchen line, and she still insisted I did. The fun part is I got the video via email to prove it. I also kept that point. I love it. This one is tough, like calling kitchen on people. And then, I mean, in this situation, I'm assuming we're at SPF because we've got that video replay. And where you can easily kind of just go over and replay the point and see. What do you think, Howard? Are you ever hitting replay if in this situation, or like, what are you doing when someone calls kitchen on you?
I don't know that anyone has called kitchen on me
Mhm.
because I tend to stand maybe several inches back.
Mhm.
Maybe I shouldn't. I don't think I've ever called kitchen on anyone who wasn't basically a complete beginner who maybe didn't understand what the kitchen rules were.
Mhm.
Most of the time, I have a really hard time seeing it. Right, so I don't know how people can confidently see small kitchen violations. I'm trying to watch the ball. I'm trying to watch people's paddles and directions and so on. I'm really not looking anywhere close to their feet. And unless it's really blatant, and if it's really blatant, I really would hope the person would call it on themselves. And honestly, most of the people that I play with in private groups, they would call it on themselves if they knew they had done it. They might not notice they had kind of just brushed the line, but if they kind of took a full step in to the point where I would notice it, I would really hope they would call it on themselves. I just feel, yeah, I don't care that much about the game to be trying to monitor people's toes, but I also find it really, really hard.
Mhm. Yeah, this one's interesting to me. It's like, so one, like the rule is that technically you should be calling it on yourself, which is makes it difficult, right? Because people are generally not calling themselves on that.
Yeah,
Honesty is a great policy. It might just be more so that people just genuinely like don't think they're ever in the kitchen. Like that's at play. So the fact that this person like felt the need to call it on our friend, and that's like a pretty aggressive move of like, oh, okay, like that that really sends a message to me of like, okay, you're very intense right now if you're calling me on that. But then in a situation where there's instant replay, it's like great, like let's just run it back and see. And I kind of love that the story had that ending of like, okay, are you happy now? Like, I mean,
yeah,
it
exactly.
sounds like she disputed the video evidence still anyway. So,
And you shouldn't be calling it on a situation where it's so close.
mhm,
Like maybe Angela was close to the line, let's say,
mhm,
but it was obviously not a blatant violation because the video showed that she really wasn't in the kitchen.
mhm,
If you want to call it, call a really obvious violation if you see it, I guess. But
mhm,
this clearly wasn't that since the video showed that she wasn't in the kitchen at all. So it, at most, it was potentially a really close violation, even though it wasn't. But if someone takes a full step in and you manage to see it, then I guess call it, especially if you're in a tournament or a league or something.
I might
But
say something like, "Hey, I just like want to let you know you might like just like watch your feet moving forward." Like I'm not trying to like get a point off of that. It's just more of like try to keep it friendly. One, two, just like okay, just FYI, like there might be something happening, but just keep an eye on it. Like just yeah, be mindful of your feet.
do you call your partner on kitchen violations when you see it?
I'll it's tough, especially, like, being a coach, because so many of the situations are learning situations that I'm in. If I'm playing, I don't. I mean, I probably have on a few occasions, but it's again, like you said, it's kinda, like, not something I'm, like, really looking for in gameplay. Um, a situation has come up more recently where I've been, calling it a lot on, some people just in an open play situation that's leveled as advanced, and I'm working with these people on some of their footwork, and so it's very obvious to me when I see a player's feet are close together. Like it seems like 8 times out of 10, you're violating the kitchen wall. Like if you're standing and your feet are about 6 inches apart, you're not keeping your balance, and you're probably stepping in.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for like that Ben John stance, that nice wide base. That to me, like it doesn't mean I'm not stepping into the kitchen, but it means I'm keeping my balance a lot better. So it's easy to spot it. Like I can spot it from a few courts down of like, yeah, just know, like seeing that person's feet in that moment, they're probably committing multiple kitchen violations per game. And I have called it, like, just in that scenario, like, it was an open play situation, and it's just educational in that point of, like, yeah, be mindful of it, and, that person was my partner at the time, so it's like, I'm giving up the point too, but I'd rather we all kind of get better from this.
Yeah, I find it almost somewhat easier, at least a little bit easier to see a violation when I'm playing with someone than against someone because I'm kind of watching them to see what they're doing with the ball, and in my peripheral vision, I'm on the same side, so I'm not like trying to see the line across
Mhm,
the net. I do see it. If it's a friend of mine, I might call it. I
mhm.
I probably do call it, although I don't often see it. If it's someone I don't know, if someone's just an open play, I'm not gonna get into that, Gina. I'm
Yeah,
just gonna
life is too short to be calling it like that, and, like, who knows how that person's gonna react,
yeah.
it's a crapshoot. Um
There there are people we know, so there's some people who we know who are in the kitchen a little bit, Gina. There's someone we both know a little bit, not well, so it's not any of our close friends, don't worry. Uh, who's in the kitchen quite a bit, and this person's a very, very good player. They got a very fast, aggressive game. They're moving their feet very fast all the time, so
Mhm,
they're almost like you know, kind of dancing on the line and moving back. And I'm a little bit surprised that they don't really get called on it at all because it's one of the more obvious. I said I don't really see kitchen violations that much, but this person does it enough that once you start noticing it, then you keep looking at it, and it's happening quite a bit.
mhm. Yeah, the feet moving a lot at the kitchen line is just a really good like a just a huge red flag waving. It's obvious. So, like, it's really hard to be moving your feet a ton and to stay out of the kitchen. So, if you're, like, lining up your feet perfectly for every single volley, every single, like, dink, every single shot that comes to you, I think there's a really good chance that you're violating the kitchen. So I'm teaching a lot about, like, stillness at the kitchen and having an anchor foot, meaning like I'm not moving both my feet at the same time. I might be moving one and sliding the other. Just trying to find those movements that aren't, yeah, getting me into trouble in the kitchen. If you see like really really fast movements, a lot of times it seems to be violations.
I do have an example from being in Park District class where there was one player I was playing with on the same side, and they've done this more than once, but they hit a volley. Um, let's say it's a winning point, so the point's over. Then they look down at their feet, which are squarely on the line, and instead of saying anything, they just scoot their feet back.
Didn't happen.
So I have friends who, I do have friends who look at their feet, and if they see a violation, they will absolutely call it on themselves. But this person who I don't know super well, they, more than once, they look down at the kitchen, take the time to look down, see that they're on the line, and then just scoot their feet back.
Yeah, that's a bold move.
That's a strategy.
Yeah. Yeah, the whole like look down, scoop back, and like kind of like almost like put your arms up like, oh, wasn't me. Like, yeah, if you're scooting back, then of course you're in the kitchen. But I think it's a tough one because you don't want to like be contentious and like start anything at open plays. You know, you could almost have the same conversation where like, what type of game is it? And go from there. But I'm not really calling the kitchen like on people hardly ever.
Well, what would you do in a tournament? Let's say you're in a tournament, Gina, and you feel like someone's really, it's a little hard to see maybe, but you feel like they're almost certainly in the kitchen.
I think that's a situation where I would at least start with like, hey, like just watch your feet on the next point. Like it looks like you're stepping in. You know, I saw this like last tournament I was in, like there was a 5-0 like open tournament, and you know it's really really high level play, and they got into like a pretty decent argument about like, well, it's not even your call, and you can't be calling that on me, and you know tensions were high. It's a money ball tournament too, and it gave me a little bit of stress to even witness. But they were very much like, get out of the kitchen, you're all over it, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's not how I would say it, but I'm also, it's not my job to play pickleball like that. So I'm gonna try to just, I don't want to be like accusatory or like you're in the kitchen, just more of like, hey, like just watch your feet. Like I think you may have been in there, but what do you like? Does that seem right or okay, acceptable?
I think so. I'm so far away from those situations. I don't really know.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to think of when I'd get annoyed. So in rec games or in private groups, I just don't care.
Mm-hmm.
But if I were in a tournament and I felt someone was really getting a meaningful advantage by being in the kitchen all the time, it would bug me.
Mm-hmm.
It would bug me, and I would be annoyed. And
so I think just sort of like inviting a conversation or trying to keep it somewhat light at first is helpful, but it can go south very quickly. Tensions rise. People are feeling the heat. And
you say, "Hey, watch your feet," and they say, "Hey, watch yourself."
Right, exactly. I mean, when I say that, like, "Hey, watch your feet," like, I'm like, "Oh, wait, does that sound like a threat?" Like, I don't mean it like that. Like, "Oh, I think you might be stepping in." Just keep. I don't know how to. I'll ask ChatGPT how to say that because I don't know.
Oh, I did this. All right, this brought back memories when I was in the very first league I was in, and we were in playoffs and the finals. We were playing against someone. They were stepping on the not the kitchen, but they were stepping on the baseline on their serve, and I let it go the whole game, and I mentioned something during the break. It was like a best of 3, and it was maybe after the first or second game. I mentioned it, and it did not really go over well.
Oh.
I thought I was being totally cool because I didn't say it even during the middle of the game. I didn't, it was at the very end of a game when it'd be over, and I just said, "Hey, pretty sure you're on the line several times on your serve."
Mm-hmm. And what did they say?
They were not happy. They denied it. They, it was. That was a very contentious game for lots of reasons.
It's hard to like win with people, like because like you're trying to keep it fair and like do the right thing, and it's not like you're getting in their head in the middle of a game or like stopping a point and like making a scene or anything. It's just like a friendly, like, oh hey, FYI, like this is what I'm seeing. You might want to keep an eye on it. That's tough, Howard.
All right, Coach's Corner, Gina. What do you have?
Howard, today I'm going to talk about some footwork, so especially at the kitchen, because of our conversation today about, stepping into the kitchen, calling those violations, etc. So I had kind of already, mentioned this, is that when I see your feet really close together, it's it's an indicator to me that you're likely committing kitchen violations. And I think as a people, we all genuinely like want to follow the rules, right? And so I do think that some people are just really unsure of that they're doing it or anything like that. When I'm at that kitchen, I'm thinking about my stance being my feet are a little bit wider than my hips. That's really, really to keep my balance. In pickleball, we have that kitchen in front of us. It makes the sport like really unique is that if I'm hitting a volley, I don't get to take, let's say, like that tennis step kind of with it, where I'm thinking about my left foot crossing over my body and I'm generating power that way. Instead, I need my core to turn, and I'm generating power through like my connection to the ground and also through like my unit turn, we call it. So it's a great thing to keep in mind. The only times I've, fallen on court, honestly, or just when my feet were way too close together, I ended up getting tripped up. So even if I'm back at the baseline, I'm thinking about a wider stance than what's natural. And that's really just it's part of, pickleball, just like that, the movements that we're doing are really different than other sports. And so we're working on a small court. I'm thinking of my movements as like creeping around instead of running around. And so I'm moving like slower, more methodical, keeping a nice wide stance so I can keep my balance no matter where I am on court. So that is my tip of the day, is really thinking about your feet staying nice and far apart from each other.
Thanks, Gina. That makes sense. If people want to contact Gina for coaching, they can email her at gtpicklecoach@gmail.com. As always, I'm a Carbon ambassador. I have a discount code, CRBNTEN. I did want to mention, I've mentioned before that I really like the new TrueFoam Waves paddle that they have. A couple of other smaller things, kind of little things I kind of love. They came out with a new edge tape. It's a black edge tape. I'm a little bit OCD about some of these things, Gina. Like when I apply edge tape, I really try to apply it perfectly. Like it's weirdly important to me.
Mm-hmm.
And the new black edge tape, it both seems to be a pretty durable tape. It holds up. It's nicer than their white edge tape, and they also had a transparent edge tape. But the best thing about it is it's very easy to apply. It sticks very well, but you can also, if you want to adjust it, you can kind of lift it up and reapply it. So you can kind of I like to have it so that there's a little bit of edge of the tape that comes over on either side of the paddle edge guard, and I like the amount by which it comes over on the two sides of the paddle face to be exactly the same. I'm going to show this to you next time we're together.
I'm excited.
I nailed this on the paddle that I have. I'm very excited to show this to you, Gina. So it's a new black edge guard tape that works really well. So happy.
Howard, we're learning a lot about you.
I also like they have an overgrip tape, which I like as well. So those are also good. They come in lots of different colors, so you can kind of make all your paddles your handles the same color, so it's easy for you to pick them out if you need.
You've given me some of those, and I have enjoyed the quality of them as well.
Yeah, they're nice. And I didn't change. I didn't use an overgrip for the longest time, and at some point I started doing it, and it's like, why did I wait so long?
Mm-hmm.
So people, if you're out there and you haven't tried it, you should try it. It doesn't matter which overgrip you use, I think, but it gives you a little extra tackiness, especially if you played with it. This is what happened to me. I played with the paddle without an overgrip for a long time, and then the original grip that came with the paddle just started getting really really kind of slippery, and especially if it was hot outside and you're kind of sweating,
mm-hmm.
you just couldn't get a good grip on it. And being able to have a fresh overgrip, you put a layer of grip on top of the existing grip, and you can change it pretty often, and you get a fresh, sort of slightly just sufficiently tacky grip to hold onto the paddle, and it feels super nice.
Yeah, it's a great upgrade that costs like a couple bucks each.
Yeah. Well, it's free, Gina, if I give it to you.
Oh yeah, Howard, hook me up.
Okay. More listener questions and comments, please email us at thirdshotrants@gmail.com. We will do another one of these shows sometime relatively soon. Follow and rate us. We have gotten great ratings so far. We really appreciate it. So happy with everyone that's taken the time to give us a rating. Gina, after show, what are we doing?
Howard, let's go back to some of our favorite restaurants in the city.
Okay.
Do you have one that stands out to you?
Yeah. So I mentioned Rosita's last time, which I think I'll put that in the show notes again. You can go back and listen to that episode, and maybe we'll indicate which episode that came out in. That's a lovely place. My wife and I go to lunch places pretty often. So another one of our regular places is a Thai restaurant that's called Chim, Chim Thai. It's on Montrose Avenue, kind of just a couple of blocks east of Kimball. The address is 3254 West Montrose Avenue. It's on the north side of Montrose. As I mentioned in the Rosita's episode, I have this habit of just eating the same thing over and over again. That probably explains even more about me, Gina. But the dish I've settled on at Chim Thai is a dish that I'm going to butcher the pronunciation, but it's a Thai dish called Khao Krapao Gai Kai Dao. I have no idea if that's the right thing to say it or not, but it's an incredibly tasty dish. It's stir-fried ground chicken, stir-fried with, I think it's garlic, chili peppers, maybe there's some shallots in there, and there's fish sauce, probably soy sauce. It's a little sweet, so a little bit of sugar probably, and it's finished with what the Thais call holy basil. It's a type of Thai basil. Thai basil is actually a different thing, but there's a basil called holy basil, which is what is often used in Thai cooking. And so it's this kind of really home style dish. It's stir fried. It's served on top of rice, and plus you get a nice fried egg, a nice sunny side up fried egg on top of that. And you break the yolk. The yolk's still runny. You break the yolk, and it runs onto the rice and the stir fried chicken. It's incredibly delicious. It was the dish it's featured in a Block Club article, which we'll also put in the show notes. That's all I ever get there. I'll give you my wife's order because I know you're interested, Gina. My wife always gets. We share a Vietnamese spring roll, so that's the non-fried kind of rice paper roll with vermicelli noodles, and there's a couple of shrimp in there, and some veggies and some mint. Super delicious. We share one of those, and my wife will get a tom yum soup with tofu, and she'll get a fried egg, kind of like the fried egg I have on rice, as a little bit of a side, as a filler.
Love that.
And Gina, we're also on a usual basis at this restaurant as well. So we go in, the owner sees us, nods, and he says, "The usual?" I'm like, yeah, the usual, thank you. Sit down at our table, and everything just proceeds from there.
Wow. Howard, it sounds delicious.
Okay, we'll have to go sometime, Gina.
Oh, I'm so in. So as a little update, Howard and his wife took me out to Rosita's for my birthday, and it was so delicious. And then I more recently had it a couple weeks ago. What did I get? I told you what I got. Oh, I got the El Pastor quesadilla, and it was out of this world. Not, like a light, healthy dish, but it is very good, worth the calories, I would say. So thank you for that, Howard. My recommendation for this round is Central Gyros. I don't have the address handy, but it is at Central, just south of Belmont. I don't know if that's Portage Park or Belmont Cragen. But man, that is my favorite Greek spot. And so I have been sick the first 2 weeks of this year, and their egg lemon soup is the most comforting food I can think of, perhaps because I grew up kind of in a Greek style restaurant. So those flavors to me are so good, and they do everything just so right. They have excellent soups every single day. And then the regular menu is also great. And so one of my indicators of a really good restaurant is that I will bring my dad there, and if he doesn't complain, because he's a really difficult guy, I know that I did something right. And he actually, like, sometimes he'll say like a compliment, and it's that like something was edible. Like, oh, that's edible. And I'm like, that's not a compliment. Thank you, though. But for this restaurant, he actually says, "Oh, that's good. We'll go back. I want to go there." And he was born in Greece, so I would say that his opinion on Greek food is quite good. So my regular order is their broiled chicken breast dinner. Comes with rice and Greek potatoes and some soup. And so this past weekend, I just brought over a large order to my friend's house, and we all shared some dinner of chicken and pistizio, which is like a Greek style lasagna, a salad, a spanakopita, and some soup. And it was a big hit. So love me some Central Gyros. Again, it's on Central Avenue, just south of Belmont.
Yeah, we, even before I knew Gina, we would sometimes order from there. Generally, would do takeout, and I like it a lot too. We would often get they have a gyros setup. I think where on takeout you get a bunch of gyros, you get some pita and the fixings, the tzatziki sauce and onions and tomatoes and so on, and super tasty.
Love it. It's my favorite spot. All right, Howard. Happy pickling.
Gina, happy pickling.